right, just arrived on the next job site, 7 in the morning. This is what we'll be doing. Homeowner already dug this out. He put about 6 inches of road base in here. In other words, he over-X'd and then put base, and it's deep. I pulled the string line across this driveway to maintain that same grade, and that flexible piece of wood there's really low. Actually, straight with this driveway grade's about 3 inches above that. So we're going to be pouring this about 6 inches deep probably in that area. The good news is it's going to be stronger, great for RVs or anything you want to put on there. Plus, we can still get it all with one load. All right, so let's set a new form. I got to set a new form inside of that flexible stuff, new radius, and then rebar grid it. Let's get down to business. I got Tyler here to help me get this ready, and then we're gonna pour it the following day, another 7 a.m. Hi, this is David Odell with Odell Complete Concrete. This job is in Garden Grove, California, and we're doing a driveway addition. And like I was saying earlier, the homeowner prepped all this, rented a tractor, dug it all out. He actually dug both sides of the yard out with the tractor he rented. He got 2 dumpsters, over-X'd everything, brought gravel in, and now what we're gonna do is get it fine graded, and we're gonna compact, put the rebar, and put some concrete in here. He's been using it quite a while as is. You can see the plywood that he had on there. He was driving in and out of there, but wasn't really easy to do. But the nice thing about it, if he drove a vehicle over here on the gravel that leaked oil, it's not a problem. But when you get concrete in there, it could be a stain that's not going to go away. So, you know, there is some benefits to having gravel driveway. 2x4 we're setting there is 12 feet off of the existing driveway, and we just ran a line parallel with that. And the height we established off the existing, we just pulled a line all the way across it. That way the grade of that existing driveway just transfers right on over. If you were to slope it off or did a different grade on it, it would look like an afterthought for sure. So this way it looks like a single plan pour. Along the edge of this driveway, you'll notice we're digging holes underneath it. And sometimes when I look at the existing concrete, I'll either elect to drill holes into the side, or I'll dig underneath the driveway and make kind of like an earth tooth or a keyway. That way they can't shift elevations. But here's the compactor I'm using. It's from Tomahawk. Has this one. It's a lot heavier than other compactors at this size, and the plate's a little bit smaller, so it hits a lot harder per square inch. So it really tightens it up. You can kind of see the holes under the driveway there. We did them on every joint of the existing driveway. The joints are in the driveway. We went to one or the other side of each joint and dug underneath. So what happens sometimes if you do elect to drill into these, and let's say you do drive something pretty heavy over that, as you transfer the weight from the existing to the new, if there's any movement in there, that rebar dowel is going to feel it, and it could pop the concrete off of the top of that rebar, and normally that would happen on the old concrete. So that's why a lot of times I'll just dig under them. All right, day 2, 7 a.m. Pumper set up. Waiting on concrete, so we should be able to get concrete really soon now, I hope. All right, concrete truck arrived. We're using OC Crete. OC Crete is an independent that has about 3 or 4 trucks, and he batches out of whatever batch plant is closest to the job site, which is really good practice, because then you know you're getting a fresh load that's not on the road for a long time. And that can be challenging, getting concrete to a job site on time within an hour span, because traffic's pretty much a nightmare down here in LA, Orange County area. So you do want to batch out of the closest batch plant to the site. So that way you can get that drive time down, get a fresh load out. So that's why I'm using this. That's why I do it. I think of all the details. When you add all those details up, it means something. Here's the 12-foot aluminum 2x4. Perfectly straight every time. I don't have to sort through 2x4s to find a straight one. On the downside, I have to carry it all the time with me. 4-foot wood bowl float. See, this mix is going in here pretty stiff, probably about a 5-inch slump. And we're using a mix design that's going to go off pretty quick. This is a C3250 with 1% accelerator. When I get into this time of the year, I usually bump up the cement, throw some accelerator in there. It's just standard practice for me. If you don't do all those things and sun sets, the concrete completely stops. You might as well come back in the morning and trowel it out. I've actually planned a few jobs out that way as well. On a big job, we pour a couple 100 yards slab, start in the evening, get it all on the ground in the cold weather, cover it, come back the next day, throw the power trowels on it, and it works like a charm. And if you want, throw a little bit of powder cement on there, dash it with some water, run the machines, make it as slick as glass. Before we run the walking edge, we're going to go around it by hand with a hand float. Get it real flat with the existing concrete. Now this was 10 yards of concrete. It's a small area. I think we've only got like 600 square feet. So it's 7.5 yards, something like that. And we had 10, and he didn't have more than a quarter yard left when he got done. So that's when you know it's deep. But a lot of times I'll do that. Instead of going to the trouble and labor and cost of getting fill or base in here, I'll just pour it deep. Because my thought is that deep concrete is better than thin concrete on base. Even though this already had base anyway, and it's thick, so it's really got the best of both worlds. But even on native, thicker concrete's better than thin concrete on base. As a matter of fact, if you look at any of the city engineered drawings for offsite work, driveway approaches in particular, it's always on native and it's always 6 inches deep. So that kind of gives you an indication. See, when they turn that rod the other direction down here, it really kind of messed it up. And that's why we're throwing so much concrete back on this end. Luckily, I'm bull floating, and I knew exactly what to expect when I got there. And this is what it was. There's the walking edge, or 1/2-inch radius. He turned it the other direction on the initial pass just to clean the existing concrete and expose a nice straight line. Then it's much easier to run your walking edger down there, and also keep the edge clean. Now here's a really simple strategy to keep the edges clean. Rather than laying plastic and not be able to see the edge and maybe get it not as flush as you'd like it, because it's hard to see what you're doing with plastic, you just take a sponge and a bucket of water and clean it that way. And here's what your Fresno looks like. Right now we've got a dry line out, and we're going to just transfer the existing lines all the way through the wet concrete. We're going to start cutting some joints. Hey Tyler, get a close up on these old school joints. Take a look at this joint, and I have an idea what kind of joiner it is. You can see the line, so it's a narrow one. My guess, it's the old, I think it's a brass 30, I think you call it a brass joiner 303 or 301, something like that. It's been a long time since I used them, but Let me know if anybody knows what joiner this was. I think this Connie's about 20 to 30 years old. Yeah, I want to guess 30 years old.
Yeah, it's doing good too. There's not a crack in it.
Yeah, surprising too, because look at the width of this joint. You would think you'd need one right here.
Somewhere down the middle.
Yeah.
Going all the way down. Yeah, that's the name of the game, man. Whoever can guess this joiner, let us know.
Someone out there will know what joiner that was for sure. So a lot of people probably still use the brass. Some areas they're real popular still. This particular cutter cuts about 2.5 deep, and it's 8 feet long. The beauty of that is it breaks your aggregate down deep, so you could run a 1/4 inch deep finish joint through that if you wanted to, and it would still crack at that point because you've separated the aggregate so deep. Matter of fact, you could even just cream it in completely and not visibly see a joint, but it would crack in a straight line still. So with the 8-foot cutter like that, you know it's going to be straight for at least 8 feet every time. After the 8, maybe they'll turn here and there on an angle, but at least 8 of it will be straight. Now, if you want to keep it straight, after you do that long cutter, you let it set for a while and get pretty hard. Then you run your cleanup joiner. And if you run your cleanup joiner too early, it'll get offline. It'll get out of that crack that you pre-cut, and then you end up with a crooked line. They waited quite a while before they ran this joiner through there. I think we waited like 45 minutes to an hour before we ran this joiner through the deep cuts. This is your California joiner. It's just got a 1/2 inch radius. The radius is a little bit bigger than what I think that existing concrete was, but we don't carry the brasses anymore. So this is the closest we could get. That I think it's a 305 brass joiner, maybe, or 303, something like that. Is what they initially used. Now what we're doing is running a funny trowel on it. That'll just knock out all the edge marks, your joiner lines, and help flatten it out. So this will save you a pass on your sliders. And if you get really good with these, you can potentially throw away your sliders and just hit it with this and all walking tools, and then broom it. It's all about timing, though, in order to pull those kind of maneuvers off. These couple guys that we got over here, the reason this job's overloaded with people is because these guys just wanted to work with us, so they came out 100% free to help us out do this, just to hang, and it was fun working with them. The one kid right here, he's about, I think he was 17 years old, but he had a vacation, some kind of event at the school where he didn't have to go that day, so he came out here, and I was going, wow, that guy's almost as good as I was at that age. But yeah, he started young. Here's Tyler catching the edges. Here's your broom. That's your horsehair broom. It's got a few modifications in it. It's got a metal plate on top of the broom. That way it doesn't warp. A lot of times from dipping them in water, keeping them wet, that wood warps on you. So this is the new technique. It's getting pretty widely used. Put something metal on there to keep it from bowing. What were you going to use? See that? I think that's a little Ryobi battery powered sprayer. We're using that to spray the water out there for the broom. There's that little power sprayer in action. This was the final end, and this is the slowest part, drying right here in the end. Never seen the sun, and the ground was the wettest up here. Matter of fact, we didn't like the broom texture that much up here. It was a little too rough compared to the rest, so we went ahead and funny trialed it out again. We're also going to strip this the same day, pull all the forms out. And that's what we're already doing along the edge. We're getting all the stakes out to begin with. And then we'll tap the form just a little bit to break it loose from the concrete, load it up, and this job is complete. Put a little caution tape down there at the bottom of the driveway so no one drives on it. We had one spot there where the concrete stuck to the form. That's why you had to do that little bit of troweling and re-brooming. That happens occasionally. You'll get an edge that sticks to the form because maybe the form's got a knot or a hole in the wood, and the concrete really grabs it. So when you pull the wood, you pull a chunk of concrete off with it. So my guy didn't like my broom job initially, so he decided to go ahead and broom the whole thing again, which is fine by me. The more work they want to do is, I never complain. It's only time I complain is when they want to do less work. Here's your finished product. Looks real nice. Average depth 6.5 inches. Rebar 2-foot centers. Number 3 on Dobies. 3000 psi. Medium broom finish. That should do the trick for any size RV. No problems on this. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you like these type of videos, hit the notification button. That way you'll be notified as soon as I post the next one, and you'll be the first one to see it. Have a good one.